is Toronto, the Queen City, the muddy York of long ago grown to metropolitan maturity.
It was here, amidst these people, in this era of booming economic growth, that there arose a vibrant art scene featuring artists such as Harold Town, Jack Bush, Michael Snow, Joyce Wieland, and my uncle, Gerald Gladstone. Jerry worked in metal sculpture and painting, and created a number of well-known Toronto sculptures and public fountains, such as the Three Graces, which focused on the female form and exuded a mythic sensuality. Other pieces fuse science, space, and geometry into a poetic dance of metal spheres and rods that speak to universal forces and cosmic energy. Born in 1929, Jerry was the sixth of 9 children in a working-class family. From the start, he was a creator, a self-taught artist drawn to painting and music. I spoke to his one remaining brother, David, about his early years.
Gerald was an artist from the time he was born. When Gerald was 12 years old, he was up in his room drawing every night, drawing hands, necks, chests. He used to trace Michelangelo's paintings to learn, to get the hand motion, and he would show them to me.
His facility with a pencil got him a job at an ad agency, while at home, evenings, he sketched and painted for himself. One night, he showed up at the iconic Picture Loan Society, where influential gallery director Douglas Duncan met the excited, talkative youth and judged his portfolio to be alive, youthful, exciting, individual, and fun. A few months later, the society hosted Jerry's first public exhibition. Jerry continued at the agency, got married, kept producing art, and soon found himself facing a major life decision.
He came to me one night and he said, well, he says, I'm at the crossroads of my life. He says, I can be a director, the advertising agency, earn a lot of money, or he said, I can go on my own and paint and make money from selling my paintings in galleries. I said, I think you should work with the advertising agency, make a good living. I said, and paint in the evenings and weekends and have a reasonable life. He says, I'll think about it. And the next day he told me, forget it. He chose to leave the art agency and go alone as an artist. And that was a very, I think, a brave decision.
One-man exhibitions in Toronto, Montreal, and New York generated crowds and a certain media buzz. The artist moved his growing family to London for nearly a year, where he fell under the influence of renowned sculptor Henry Moore, who was to have a profound effect on him. One day, Jerry invited Moore to see his work at a local gallery.
And Moore said, okay, I'll come. But he said, I don't want anybody else there. I don't want to speak or see any gallery owner there. I don't want to be around those people, apparently. And so Jerry said, okay, I'll arrange it.
The story Gerald told me is that on a Saturday morning, he was at the gallery, and through the window, he could see Henry Moore approaching from down the street, and he spoke to the gallery owners and asked them to come into their office. And it sounds a bit unusual, but he said to the owners, I know you're going to hate me, but I have to do this. So he got them into the office, and he backed out of the door and locked them in. Now, I've never heard of an office where you can lock people in their own office, but that is what Gerald told me. And Henry Moore came into the gallery, and Gerald told some of the patrons, or potential patrons of the gallery, of his show, that they had to leave. So he kicked all of the potential buyers of his art out, and through the glass in the window of the office, the owners could see that Henry Moore was there, and all they could do was sort of smile and wave, but they couldn't do anything about it. And Henry Moore walked around the show and gave Gerald his comments.
Back in Canada, Jerry worked feverishly on creating art. He and his wife, Sheila, and their family were often in the media. Newspaper stories, social items. The CBC even aired a documentary about him. It was an especially exciting time as planning began for one of the biggest celebrations in the nation's history.
The largest World's Fair ever, Expo 67. The International Twin Island Wonderland is ready for its gala opening ceremonies. Host Canada is among 62.
Expo was a triumph for Canada, but Jerry's fire-breathing dragon had received only lukewarm praise. Buckminster Fuller's geodesic dome was the iconic hit, and Jerry drew Bucky into his orbit as mentor and friend. Back in Toronto, he was on fire with creativity, attracting some of the best commissions of his career. Gerald applied the same lyricism but more muscularity to his iconic work Universal Man, which was meant to give a human scale to the CN Tower when it opened in 1975. There the bronze colossus stood for 15 years until it was removed during construction of the Sky Dome. Gerald was crushed, but soon turned the story around by arranging a new home at Yorkdale Shopping Centre. Today, Gerald's works are found in galleries and private collections around the world, but he has also attracted his fair share of dubious praise. For comedy and plain speaking, no one has ever topped the following criticism of a piece Gerald did for the East York Public Library in the 1960s.
The East York Township pylon find acceptance generally in Canada. Some people in East York love it. Some people hate it, especially the Reeve of East York. She hates my work.
Mr. Gladstone has sold all sorts of work to public buildings. But I think most public officials are like the crowds in Andersen's fairy tale of the Emperor's New Clothes. You remember there that people had to pretend that they admired these clothes, as otherwise they would be considered unfit for their jobs. And I think all these people who go around saying, marvelous, wonderful, are just afraid to betray their ignorance because they don't know what it's all about and therefore they can't criticize it. We in East York are like the little boy who looked innocently at the emperor and said, but he has nothing on. You see, we look at it and we say it has no meaning. As a matter of fact, I would say that if he has 5 children, probably this was constructed, it's just across the way here, this was constructed from material in his own kitchen, which his children had prepared for his use, because the cans are battered and the pots and pans look as if they had been used in the sand pot.
Gerald's space pieces weren't all geometric cones, parabolas, and metal rods. These curved fins represent sine waves used in measuring light, he said, and the metal globes within these translucent blocks were planets. Gerald turned to simpler works in his later period, such as this fountain for Vancouver's waterfront and these poetic representations of birds in flight in Beaverton and Windsor, Ontario, and the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, New York. In 2003, the Art Gallery of Ontario presented a retrospective of his work in a space adjacent to the Moore Gallery.
And what actually really impressed me, of course, there were his structural constructions. Female Galaxy in Recline was one piece that was hanging, and Bill, I hope you'll show that in this video that you're making, that he was very, very proud of. But at the other end of the gallery, there was a little cabinet with very small, crude figures, and they looked like they could have been, come out of Neolithic caves. And he said, I don't know where these come from. They look like little humanoid figures or little totemic models. And he said, this is what I'm making these days. And they were just very crude, sexual, emotional, raw human things. And that is where Gerald gravitated towards the end. He'd gone from these very formal construction pieces using all sorts of materials, and he ended up back to basics, back to basic human emotions.